All right, today we're tackling a massive question. Where do great business ideas really come from? We're going to break down a way to see opportunities long before they become obvious to everyone else. Let's jump in. So, have you ever looked at a company like Airbnb or Uber and just scratched your head wondering, how in the world did they see that coming? It almost feels like magic, right? Like the idea just appeared out of thin air. But what if I told you that's not how it works at all?
Here's the secret. They don't just appear. Every single business opportunity, big or small, follows a predictable structure. It's kind of like a story. And once you learn to recognize the plot, you can start to see where it's all heading.
I mean, think about any classic story you've ever heard. They usually boil down to one of two things: a person goes on a journey, or a stranger comes to town. In both scenarios, something new shows up, and that new thing creates friction, it disrupts the normal way of life. Well, business is exactly the same. An opportunity is born in that exact moment a new disruption hits the scene. And this visual right here, this is our map. This is the story arc of an opportunity. See how it starts with an inciting event, rises through some kind of crisis, and then finally lands at a resolution? This arc is the roadmap we're going to follow to figure out where the future is hiding.
Okay, so let's start at the very beginning of the story. Every great business opportunity is sparked by the exact same inciting event: change. Something in the world shifts, and that one single shift is what gets the whole thing started.
That change creates the core tension of our story, which is this idea of imbalance. It creates a gap between what people suddenly want or need and what the market is currently giving them. That gap, that little bit of tension, is where every single opportunity lives. It's a problem, just sitting there, waiting for someone to solve it. And this brings us to a really crucial point. We can't control these huge macro changes, right? Pandemics, cultural shifts, new technologies, they're going to happen. But as a Stoic philosopher Epictetus pointed out ages ago, we can control how we observe them and the choices we make in response. And that's where all the power is. All right, now we're moving into the middle of our story arc, and this is where things get really intense. We're talking about crisis. In the business world, a crisis is basically just change on steroids. It's an accelerator that creates huge, sudden gaps in the market. A crisis forces a turning point. It shatters old habits and routines almost overnight. I mean, think back to the 2008 financial crisis. Millions of people lost their jobs, and all of a sudden, freelancing went from being this niche career path to a mainstream necessity. That instability created a massive opportunity for platforms like Fiverr and TopToll to step in and build services for this new workforce. And this leads to a really powerful idea from the analyst Benedict Evans: the market reset. He makes the point that after a huge shock, we don't just snap back to the way things were. A new normal gets created. Everyone is forced to rethink everything, from how they spend their money to what they prioritize. It's so important to see the difference here. On one hand, you have incremental change. That's slow and steady, like the decades-long shift towards sustainable products. But a market reset? That's rapid, it's disruptive, it's total. Think about how streaming just completely reshuffled the entire music industry in just a handful of years. One is evolution, the other is a revolution. So all this change, all this crisis, it builds and builds to the climax of our story. This is the moment of truth. It's where every single business, every leader, faces a really stark choice. And that choice is simple: adapt or become a footnote in history. The management legend Peter Drucker absolutely nailed it. The chaos itself isn't the real danger. The real danger is trying to solve today's brand new problems with yesterday's old solutions. It just flat out doesn't work. And here's the key takeaway. During a big downturn, the famous venture capital firm Sequoia Capital sent a memo to its founders reminding them of this one critical lesson from biology. Survival isn't about being the biggest or the smartest company. It's about being the most adaptable. And this is why a threat and an opportunity are really just two sides of the same coin. For Blockbuster, streaming was a massive threat to their business model, and they resisted it. But for Netflix, that exact same change was a golden opportunity they embraced to completely take over the market, all because they served customers in this new reality. So how do you adapt? You have to be willing to rethink your business model from the ground up. And as you can see here, it really just boils down to three simple questions. Who are you serving now? What new value are you creating for them? And how are you going to deliver it in this new world? Okay, so this brings us to the resolution of our story. How do we turn all of this into a practical tool? We've seen the plot that an opportunity follows, But how do we get better at spotting these changes, these inciting events, before everybody else does? Well, we can use a framework. I want you to think of this STEER framework as a set of 5 different lenses, like 5 pairs of glasses you can put on to see the world differently. Each one helps you spot the major forces of change that are shaping, well, everything. First up is S, for socio-cultural. These are the big shifts in society: how we live, how we work, what we believe in. The massive shift to remote work is a perfect example. It's changing everything from real estate to the software we use every single day. Next is T, for technological. This is all about the new tools that make new things possible. I mean, think about it. Without GPS technology in every single smartphone, a company like Uber simply could not exist. The technology itself was the key that unlocked a whole new business model. The first E is for economic. These are changes in how money and resources are flowing. For example, the huge success of Skype in Estonia created a pool of experienced talent and new money that literally kicked off an entire startup ecosystem in that country. Success often breeds more opportunity. The second E stands for environmental. This lens looks at our natural world. The growing problem of plastic pollution in our oceans, for example, created a brand new market for companies like Adidas to team up with organizations to turn that waste into cool, high-value products like sneakers. And finally, R is for regulatory. This is all about new laws and government policies. A few years ago in the UK, new open banking rules forced the big banks to share customer data. And what happened? It created a massive opportunity for a whole new wave of fintech startups to build better services on top of that data. So there you have it. You've seen the plot, you know the story arc that every opportunity follows, and you now have the steer lenses to spot the changes that kick the whole thing off. The only question left is, what changes are you seeing out there, and what story are you going to decide to write?